Tension fills the air at an investment bank as employees brace for mass layoffs. The most shocking dismissal is that of Eric Dale, the head of risk management, who has worked there for 19 years but is let go in favor of younger talent. Before leaving, he tries to warn his colleagues about a model he has been working on, but no one listens. While gathering his belongings, Eric receives a visit from Will Emerson, the head of credit trading, who has managed to keep his job. Will expresses his sympathy, but Eric, still bitter, asks who decided his fate. Will admits it was Sarah, which worsens Eric's mood. He makes one last attempt to get Will to review his model, but Will dismisses it, stating it is no longer Eric's concern. On his way out, Eric receives farewells from Peter Sullivan and Seth Bregman, two of his former employees. Peter, grateful for Eric's mentorship, is entrusted with a USB drive containing the model, with Eric warning him to be cautious. Outside, Eric realizes his phone has already been deactivated. When he spots Sarah Robertson, the chief risk management officer, arriving, he lashes out at her for his termination. Meanwhile, Sam Rogers, the floor leader, struggles with personal news. His dog is dying from a tumor. Will checks on him and informs him that 80% of the laid-off employees have already left. Sam then steps out to give an encouraging speech to the remaining 33 staff members, reminding them that this setback is an opportunity for growth. As night falls, most employees head out to celebrate keeping their jobs, except for two. Sam goes to visit his ailing dog, while Peter stays behind to examine the files Eric gave him. Though incomplete, the model's data is alarming. Peter finishes the calculations and discovers a critical issue. He attempts to call Eric, but realizing his phone is cut off, contacts Seth instead. Peter instructs him to find Will and bring him back immediately for an emergency. Upon returning, Peter presents his findings. Historical volatility levels in mortgage-backed securities have been exceeded, and the debt from over-leveraged assets could bankrupt the company. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Will tries to reach Eric at home, but his wife says he has not returned. Will then sends Peter and Seth to Eric's favorite bar, hoping they can locate him, while he escalates the matter to his superiors. Sam, initially annoyed at being called back to the office so late, quickly realizes the urgency when he sees the numbers. The projections paint a bleak picture, and he orders Will to get Peter back immediately. Meanwhile, Peter and Seth have been drinking at a bar, distracted by the dancers, having quickly abandoned their search for Eric. When Will calls, they rush back to the office and are immediately taken to an emergency meeting with Sarah, division head Jared Cohen, and other senior executives. Before proceeding, Sarah verifies Peter's credentials to ensure he is qualified to analyze such critical data. Though they plan to double-check the files, Sarah already confirms their accuracy. In a panic at 2 a.m., Jared asks Sam how quickly his team could clear these assets from the company's books. Sam estimates it would take weeks, but even if time were not an issue, the move would be disastrous for the company's reputation. Sarah supports his stance, adding that determining the asset's value would also require significant time. As tensions rise among the higher-ups, Will, Peter, and Seth are asked to step out of the meeting. Jared remains adamant about selling everything immediately, but Sam pushes back, calling the idea reckless. To prevent rash decisions, Sarah convinces Jared to give her 45 minutes to review the data thoroughly. Realizing they need higher authority, Jared decides to call the CEO. Meanwhile, Will, Peter, and Seth step onto the roof for a smoke. They joke about jumping off before Will remarks that, despite the chaos, the executives will find a way to save the company, likely at the expense of everyone else. Their conversation is cut short by the arrival of a helicopter, signaling the arrival of the company's top brass. Back inside, Sarah updates Jared, confirming the data's accuracy. Frustrated, Jared blames her for not having trusted Eric's warnings sooner. As another meeting is set up, Jared advises the junior employees to always be honest. Things are about to get ugly, and sugarcoating the truth will not help. Firm CEO John Told takes charge of the emergency meeting, bringing in the company's stockholders in the middle of the night. Peter once again presents the problem, and Jared insists the only solution is to sell everything immediately. Sam acknowledges that this plan could work but points out the ethical issue. They would be offloading worthless assets through deception. Once the truth emerges, the company's reputation would be irreparably damaged, and they would lose all trust in the market, leading to long-term consequences for the financial sector. John is indifferent to the ethical concerns. His only priority is ensuring the company's survival. Since it is now 5 a.m., he gives everyone an hour to rest and locate Eric before implementing their plan. Later, John has a private conversation with Sam, seeking his support, but Sam remains hesitant. Meanwhile, Jared and Sarah discuss the situation, and Sarah warns him not to throw her under the bus. If he does, she will take him down with her. Around this time, Eric's wife calls the office to inform them that her husband has finally returned home, though he refuses to speak to anyone. Sam orders Will and Seth to retrieve Eric but warns them not to alert John's team, fearing they might scare him away. Meanwhile, John visits Sarah's office, making it clear that she will be the scapegoat for the firm's financial disaster. He asks her to resign once the fire sale is complete. Sarah reminds him that she had tried to warn both him and Jared, only to be ignored, but John dismisses her protests. He does, however, assure her that she will be well compensated. As Will and Seth wait for their car in the garage, Jared approaches them. He expresses his and John's concerns about Sam possibly resisting the fire sale. Jared needs to know if Will will step up if Sam refuses, but Will evades the question, simply stating that he trusts Sam to do the right thing. Shortly after, Will and Seth arrive at Eric's house, where Will updates him on the situation. He urges Eric to return to the office for just one day, but Eric refuses. Their conversation is interrupted by the arrival of a mysterious car. It's John's men, ensuring no loose ends remain. Will leaves Eric to deal with them, but gives him one final warning. If he refuses their offer, they will fight him over the benefits he was promised. On the way back, Seth anxiously asks Will if he will lose his job, and Will confirms that he will. Seth is somewhat relieved that he has enough savings to last a few months, but worries about the impact on regular people when the crisis unfolds. Will reprimands him, saying that survival in this industry requires detachment. Ordinary people may condemn them when things go wrong, but they also benefit from their work when the system functions smoothly. Back at the office, John approaches Sam with a lucrative offer, hoping to secure his support. However, Sam remains firm, stating that his priority is the company's future. Later, Peter asks Sam if he's going to be fired. Sam admits that it is likely, but reassures Peter that he himself will also lose his job. No one is safe in this disaster. Peter then questions whether they are making the right choice, but neither of them can determine for whom. Meanwhile, Seth hides in the bathroom, overwhelmed with anxiety about his future. Jared also enters the bathroom, but when Seth expresses his fears, Jared remains indifferent. Realizing he may lose all his benefits, including his health care, Eric reluctantly agrees to return to the company for one day. He meets with Sarah, who apologizes for everything. She clarifies that she did pass on Eric's warnings to Jared and John weeks ago, but they ignored her. Shortly after, the plan is set into motion. Under Jared's watchful eyes, Sam addresses his team, instructing them to sell everything before the day ends. As expected, this will cost them their jobs and may even ruin their careers. To keep them motivated, the company offers a bonus of $1.4 million to anyone who sells 93% of their assigned assets. If the entire trading floor collectively meets this goal, each trader will receive an additional $1.3 million. Sam apologizes sincerely, stating that even after 34 years at the firm, he has never faced a situation like this. He expresses his pride in his team, insisting that their talents have been used for a greater purpose. The traders immediately spring into action, selling aggressively to any willing buyer. However, their counterparties soon become suspicious of the sudden fire sale, forcing the firm to offload assets at significant losses. Despite this, they manage to unload most of the toxic assets. Jared later approaches Sam to commend him for successfully executing the plan. He also informs Sam that he must begin laying off employees immediately. Surprisingly, because Sam backed the sale, he will not be losing his job. The higher-ups are pleased with the outcome. This revelation infuriates Sam, who storms into John's office only to find him casually having lunch as if nothing had happened. Sam demands that his stock options be released so he can leave, but John insists that he stay for another 24 months. After that, he will be free to go. This does nothing to ease Sam's conscience. John, however, finds Sam's guilt laughable, calling it meaningless. After all, it is just money, just paper. He argues that the company has always operated in a questionable manner, but Sam has refused to acknowledge it. In the end, Sam agrees to stay, but only for the money, not because he shares John's views. John, pleased with the outcome, informs him that Peter will not only keep his job, but will also be promoted. Later that evening, Sam visits his former home to bury his recently euthanized dog in the front yard. His ex-wife, initially startled, almost calls the police before recognizing him. She reminds him that he no longer lives there. Sam explains that this is the only place his dog truly belongs. Moved by his sentiment, she allows him to proceed. Before heading inside, she mentions that their son's firm also suffered major losses, but at least they survived without going bankrupt.